Good morning. So I just want to give you the rundown for week 2 so that everyone is level set and clear on steps forward for how to succeed this week. You're going to have a content review, as you will every module, as I'm sure you've probably seen because you've previewed many of the modules. And so for this week, your content review consists of reading links, but then also your first narrated slide deck by yours truly. So you will page through the embedded slide deck, and there will be a little speaker icon that you will be directed to click on to hear the narration for that slide. I've done my online lectures this way to be considerate of everybody's needs. I realize that not everybody has the same tech capabilities, which is one of the reasons why I ask you to do that survey during week 1 so that I have a real good sense of what kind of bandwidth we're working at, what kind of Wi-Fi connections we're dealing with, what kind of hardware and technology each of you are using. And what I have found is most successful commonly across the entire class in most of my semesters is doing more of a low bandwidth sort of lecture presentation. So the slides that I would normally go over, whether online or face-to-face, is there. And I've given you the option of my lecture in narrated form on each slide. And that way you don't have to necessarily be watching high bandwidth video in case you have less than desirable internet connection. You should be able to use it on a mobile as well. I've tested it. It works on all of my mobile devices myself. And then you can also go back and repeat as many times while you're listening to make sure that you're understanding the material. So hopefully you find that format helpful. You'll find that format fairly every week. For our discussion this week, there is going to be a Canvas discussion forum where we discuss the pros and cons, the benefits, and the drawbacks of planning a website ahead of time. And so I'm really looking forward to rich discussion on that topic. Make sure that as you're looking at the discussion and getting ready to form and share your thoughts, to check the rubric and make sure that you know how to be successful in getting all of the points possible for discussion participation. I make it very clear that in discussions online, in this asynchronous forum where we don't do live discussion, that you participate early, that you participate often, and that you participate substantively. So the rubric will go into more detail on what all of that means. There's also some instructions on using Splashtop. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this already. I don't require any fancy or expensive software in this class for any reason. And lesson by lesson, week by week, I always share tips and tricks on using open source tools that don't cost anything. So I'm hoping that you're appreciating the fact that I've kept the cost of this class very low, including not requiring any text material. So we'll be looking at the Splashtop is basically instructions for how you, if you want to take advantage of more expensive software like the Adobe suite to create any content for your website in the future as the weeks go on, creating original artwork and those kinds of things. The software on the lab machines in room 562 in Manoogian is available to you remotely. And so Splashtop is a platform that we use for you all to be able to log into one of those machines remotely and use the software that is on those machines. Those machines are Apple Mac machines. And so if you're familiar with using Apples, that will be an easy step for you. If you're a Windows user and you're familiar with Adobe, it's going to be pretty easy for you anyway. So take advantage of that if you like. It's not necessary, but I do make it available to you in case you want to do that. You're only able to log into Splashtop at certain times. Ordinarily, when this class is taught synchronously from 6 to 8 on Wednesday evenings, usually you're only able to access Splashtop during those times. I may have to see about scheduling a time for you to be able to do this. Generally, the 6 to 8 parameter on Wednesdays is available because that's usually my slot. We're just not doing live sessions this semester. So I'll confirm that, and I will make sure that the instructions are updated if they need to be updated. For practice activities this week, I'm going to want you to take what you learn from the content review, those resources that I've shared with you, and I want you to practice them. There is a quick demo that I do in how to create wireframes using PowerPoint, and since that's how you have to turn it in, I would suggest that you practice doing that because that's going to be one of your assignments. Likewise for your sitemap, which is a different thing, and if you do your content review well, you'll understand the difference between site mapping and wireframing. You're gonna be doing that. And then practice with your outlining tool. Basically, in the lecture, I will go over some tools. Sorry, I'm looking at my outline here. I introduce some tools that I find very handy in creating outlines because, again, we are thinking this week about planning your site ahead of time. Outlining is important, and we discuss why that is in some of the content review. For your assignments this week, you are turning in a wireframes for your future site, and then also a site map. Make sure that you are checking with your classmates as we go. That is one of the reasons why I've created a Microsoft Teams space for you, so that you know, even remotely taking this class online, who's in your class. And you're able to reach out to each other easily in that space to see who's doing what, who's struggling with what, ask questions, get them answered. That has been a very effective forum to be able to do that, even though we're spread across geography. If you need further clarity than that, then please reach out to me. Everybody knows what my office hours are because I think everybody did pretty well in the syllabus quiz. So good for you. But this week, yes, your wireframes and your sitemap and your discussions are going to be the things that you turn in to me for this week for grading. Again, pay attention to the rubrics and the instructions for all of the assignments. I want to remark a little bit on the progress that I've seen so far in week 1. Most everybody has completed all of the prerequisites that needed to be completed in Module 1 to be able to get access to Module 2, so good for you. I do see that there are some folks who haven't turned anything in for week 1, some who have missed a few steps. So if you're not seeing all of Module 2 available to you yet, it's because you haven't completed everything that needs to be completed in Module 1. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that once again. I did post an announcement about that earlier last week, but I'm going to reiterate again. I won't reiterate it too many more times because we should be getting used to this pretty soon. You have to make sure that you complete all of one module before the next module even becomes available to you. That is to make sure that nobody falls behind. That makes sure that everybody is able to keep up with pace, and that you are using all of the resources that I am making available to you, both material-wise in the Canvas course, but then also encouraging you to make use of the resources of each other in the Microsoft Teams space when you run into issues as well. Another note about what I've observed so far in week 1, most everybody did very well with all of the simple things. We get started with simple things during week 1. So the plagiarism agreement, the syllabus quiz, those kinds of things, most everybody did just fine. Most everybody did very well with establishing your WH4S hosting account. However, there were some that I saw that struggled a bit. And I have noted this in the comments of your assignments. So hopefully you are seeing, if you've gotten comments on your assignments, you're paying attention to those. Depending on how you have your Canvas notifications set up, you should have gotten notified when I placed comments on your assignment, either through the Canvas app or through your Wayne State email. You want to make sure that you are paying attention to these things and going back into Canvas, going back into the assignment and reading my comments. My comments are very specific and sometimes can be very prescriptive on how things need to be fixed, resolved, improved, etc. You don't want to waste time, and you don't want to miss the constructive feedback that I'm providing you. So make sure you're keeping up, especially in this online format where we don't have face-to-face and we're not seeing each other very often. You want to keep very close tabs on the comments that I leave on your assignments. If you don't know how to find the comments on assignments, make sure that you've reviewed the Canvas demo course that I've given you. You want to make sure you're as comfortable navigating Canvas as possible. And beyond that, ask each other again. Use your Microsoft Teams space to reach out to each other. Just like you would in the classroom, sitting in a lab next to each other, you'd be having discussion with each other and looking at each other's work and asking questions and seeing what works and what doesn't, making sure you're not crazy, validating the content that I'm sharing. Do that in Microsoft Teams. And, as a last resort, if you still need help in finding where I'm leaving feedback on your online assignments, send me a message or schedule with me during my office hours so that we can get this tightened up right away. We want to make sure everybody is in lockstep pretty well right now. You don't want to start falling behind this early in the semester because we've got a lot of work ahead of us. It's fun work, and we have a lot of fun in this class, and it's a very creative process. And there's a lot of freedom in such a class, but with that comes a lot of responsibility. And so we need to make sure that we're on top of all of our topics and we're using all of our resources and reaching out to each other to make sure that you're getting the clarity and the support that you need. All right, this rundown is the first one, and it's much longer than it usually is, but I wanted to make sure that I touched on those topics as you all launch into Module 2. I will see you again probably midweek. I try to do these sorts of things at least midweek. My other rundowns will probably be just audio, as they usually are. But it's been a week and a half or so, and this is an online class. I wanted to make sure that my face was seen, my presence was felt in the class, and so I'll typically do something brief like this from time to time, during sort of midweek, just to keep the momentum going as you rush into your weekend, where I know a lot of folks get their work done. So with that, I will leave you to it. Thanks for paying attention. If you need to piecemeal watch this, that's fine. It's gotten kind of long. It's about 12 minutes, about 13 minutes right now. But yes, move forward with Module 2. Great work with completing Module 1. If you have completed your hosting account setup, you are well positioned to move ahead in Module 2 with another foundational assignment that you're going to have to complete now that you have your hosting. If you have struggled a bit with establishing that hosting, make sure that you're reaching out to your classmates, to tech support if you need to, and to me, if necessary, to resolve anything that's awry so that you can move ahead with some of these other foundational assignments in Module 2. So with that, I'll leave you to it. I wish you a good week. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day today, and so hopefully you will observe. I've got my Day of Service t-shirt on today. So hopefully you'll do something good toward the cause of social justice for some of your time today, as Dr. King would have us all to do in his legacy. Take care, everybody. See you on the flip side.